Hey guys, Nick Whaley here. Thought I'd pop in with just kind of a quick video here of just some like holiday decorations and things like that that we tend to do right around the holiday season, particularly in this case Halloween. Um, a lot of people tend to pay a lot of attention to the outside. They have inflatables and various other things like that. What they don't really seem to pay much attention to that I've noticed in a lot of areas is the inside of the house. Now I know some of you probably already do this, and if this isn't new to you, then that's fine. Watch it and enjoy it. If not, then no hard feelings on my part. But what I thought I'd do is go through what we commonly do with it that my wife tends to enjoy because she tends to around this year have a thing for spiders. Yeah, let's just say it gets a little weird walking down the hallway. Um, so the first thing that we usually do is we go ahead and we set up spider webbing, right? So for this, you're going to need two things, right? You're going to want command strips, which is what I have in my hand here. These are easy, small little pieces of adhesive that you can put up on the walls. I recommend you keep some of them in your pocket because as you start stretching out spider webbing, you'll notice that sometimes it'll stretch a little bit farther, sometimes it won't, sometimes it'll be thicker, sometimes it'll be thinner. All these things are okay, right? So what you want to do is just kind of stretch it the way it wants to stretch and adhere it with some of these. If you don't already have them placed in locations, you'll probably want to keep them on your person, like I said before. That way you can kind of get it to a point where you feel like it's tight or looks right, kind of basically adhere a piece of it and then move on to your next place. So you'll probably need a solid ladder. Please, for the love of God, be careful on the ladder, okay? Okay. Then you'll go ahead and get this stretched out as far as you can. So I'm going to go and put this down, and we'll go ahead and cut. And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and take you downstairs, and I'll show you essentially what happens when my wife goes through and starts to stretch these things out. It actually has a very cool effect on the hallway if you do it the right way. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and cut there, and then we'll come back and I'll go into the next step of the process of what we do, okay? The first step that we do to set up our Heartful Halloween is we get a lot of spider webbing, and then we pretty much get this stored throughout the entirety of the hallway. So as you'll see, it even comes down onto the mirror where it almost covers up part of the mirror and then ends right around the hallway. So later on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take photos again when she has the spiders up. We're back in my room now. I hope you enjoyed watching the first part of this where we showed you where all the webbing was and everything like that. That pretty much sets up the basis for everything else that you're going to do in the hallway. Now there's a couple of other simple things that you can do that'll make this kind of look a lot better rather than just like random spider webs in your house making it look old. Now if that's your thing and you want to stop there, then that's cool. My wife doesn't, and this is where people stop walking down my hallway this time of year. It's a thing. You'll see in a minute. So what you'll need for this part is plenty of spiders. It doesn't look like much like a spider right now. These legs curl out, and then they kind of stretch out, like so. The nice thing about these is you can kind of pose them however you want. You can bend the legs in any number of ways, and then you can have them basically perched anywhere. Then on my head, kind of like a hat. Good luck for me? Maybe, maybe not. Don't know. Probably not. So you can take these. These work really well with just string and the little command hooks, the kind of little hanging hooks that you get. We're real big on those because they don't really do any damage to your walls. They're easy to pull down, and you can take the actual hooks themselves, get more adhesive strips, and put them back up later. It works great for this kind of thing. All you do with these is you basically take a little bit of, you get their legs posed the way you need them, and you take like a little bit of like a satin string or something like that that you can get at Joann's, Walmart, Target, any place like that, right? Take that, wrap it around the body, and then you can basically tie it and heat them anywhere you need to get them put up. Now, another cool part about this, off to the side, that you can do that works out really, really well is You're going to like this part. If you're a child of the 80s, maybe even the 90s, you might happen to know what these are. If I can get one out of the bag. Ring spiders. Inexpensive, cheap little rings made of really, really, really cheap plastic. These things are notorious for like breaking at the drop of a hat. They bend, they mold, they do pretty much whatever. It's just a really, really cheap plastic mold. These hook into the webbing that you stretched earlier really, really well, guys. If you place them in the right places and you make sure that, you know, the bottom part here isn't showing to the person who's coming into your home or looking down your hallway, you can actually get a really cool effect of like small little spiders kind of skittering along the web or anywhere you really need them that you have the webbing up. Now, if you want to cut the bottoms out of these or do something else with them or find something else that's, you know, that actually sits on the ground, you can do that too, but these work really great in the webbing. It's actually kind of surprising the kind of mileage and the kind of effect you can get with just like a $1 bag of cheap, inexpensive freaking spider rings. So I highly recommend you go ahead and get these. None of the stuff that I mentioned to you is really expensive. It's the kind of stuff that you can build up over a couple of years if you're on a budget. The webbing, the spider rings, the command hooks, all that I'd say you could get for like 20, 30 bucks, something like that at most. The spider that I just had in my hand a minute ago, that's probably like somewhere between like $5 and $7 for that size. They go up a lot bigger because we actually have some significantly larger ones in our hallway. That you'll see in a minute as I take you on a tour after we've done that phase of the whole project, okay? So we're going to cut away again and show you that part, okay? All right, guys, we're back with phase 2. As you can see, we've got some spiders up now, and if you look up, you'll notice that we have some of them up in the webbing that we put in. Now, the trick with this is these are more or less, which you may not be able to see because my lens isn't all that far out, are spider rings. Let's see if we can get a little closer. Yeah, you can see there on that one, as I close the door and elbow and jar the entire frame, that it's a spider ring. The idea of the effect is to start to lead people back into the house. So you see we've got one we nicknamed Shelob here. As you zoom in, you'll see we've got a few looking at the mirror themselves, crawling over that towards the door. A couple of smaller ones, and as you can look, you can kind of see the effect of all these little bitty spiders creeping all along the hallway. Now I'm going to do another trick that you'll see in just a second. Alexa, set downstairs hallway light to red. I have to do that. Downstairs hallway light. You can see it's a lot darker and a lot creepier. Now we did buy Philips Hue bulbs that we put in the hallway. We did it in part just because they're more energy efficient. But we also did it so we could do cool effects like this during holidays. So the end game that we want to have on some of this, which will come in part 3, where I'll show you the entire effect, will be pretty much once we get the end of the hallway done. Now we have an Atmos FX, and we bought a few projector display things specifically for that we want to set up. So once we get that set up, we'll have it at the end of the hallway, and you'll see basically a ghost hovering at the end of the hallway, which is what all this is supposed to lead you to. So I'm going to pan up and kind of pan around and show you from the other side as I show you how we got some of the webbing to actually stick. Because some of what we got, pardon for some of this being out of focus, is we actually used command hooks not only for the webbing, which I'm having trouble focusing on, but also to hang up the spiders. So to get a little closer to the spiders, you can see We have command hooks right there. And I apologize for this being a little fuzzy on focus. I'm relatively new to this camera and really filming on it, so I'm kind of using this as a project to get more and more used to it. But now you can kind of see the back side of the hallway, still looking fairly creepy. Once we get everything else in, it should be a lot more effective. Now we're back in the room. We've gone over pretty much getting the spiders up and showing you how that looks when that gets finished. The next part that we're going to probably show you is the most expensive part of this, but it's something we bought and it's the only decoration we bought that year. Is called it's a projector system that we got by Atmos FX. Essentially allows us to basically project an image on a wall. You can put the programs into your TV and you can play them that way. You can put them on the floor. They've got some effects that they have, like insects and stuff that skitter along the floor. You can also put them on anything that's kind of transparent or gauzy, which is pretty much what we opted to do, to kind of tie the whole area together and to give it kind of a cool effect. We also have gotten in past a fog machine. Those are relatively inexpensive. I think you can get those for around like $20, $30. The most expensive thing is getting the fog juice that you're going to need to refill it, which you really don't need to do all that often. I think one of the tubs we had have lasted us a couple of years. So it depends on how much you use it. So what we're going to do at this point is we'll go ahead and cut. We'll show you how all that gets set up, and then we'll probably show you the full effect from the front of the house, from approaching the house to entering the house, and then the whole hallway effect, and probably let it kind of linger there for a little bit. And then I'll come back here to kind of do just sort of a final wrap up, so that we can kind of touch base again, and then you guys can leave some comments or things like that on the bottom and let us know what you thought. So what we have here is pretty much one of our final touches. What you're looking at now is an Atmos projector, an Atmos FX projector. Essentially, they sell this as a kit. It's about a $200 kit. It comes with a projector, a small stand, a screen, and some demos of their actual programs. I don't really recommend that you buy the projector itself. I actually recommend that you pretty much get a more inexpensive projector and just look at some of the screens and gauzes and things like that that you can get, or use your wall or TV or whatever, and pretty much buy their application. I find the kit itself is a little expensive for what it is. However, the program and the thought process behind it is a very good idea. As I pan a little bit to my right, you'll notice that we have kind of a cool blue light that we have set up. This is kind of to complete the effect of the actual one that we bought. The one that we bought was called Beckoning Beauty. It's kind of a creepy bride that is now dead and a ghost, and is pretty much going to be in effect haunting our house. So you'll also see as I pan down a little bit that I've got two speakers connected to this thing, mostly because the speakers on the actual Atmos itself weren't very good. These were just speakers that I happened to have on hand. They plug into an AV jack in the back. It's pretty much a headphone jack. That's giving me plenty of sound to carry not only through the living room but down to the hallway. So as I pan around my house a little bit, my living room technically, to the screen, you can now see kind of the gauze. And if I pan up a little bit, you can see where the top of it is. Again, having trouble with the lighting. I'm going to try to move a little bit to try to get it more in focus. Yeah. So you can see the top of it right there. And as you pan down, you can see the hallway, which is where we want primarily the effect to take place. And if you look closely, you can see that you've got a little bit of an outline of the actual apparition that we're trying to project onto pretty much the gauze itself. Now, the thought process behind this is once we get a fog machine, which we got in previous years set up, have some fog rolling down the hallway, and you're looking this direction at it, you're pretty much going to be focused on all the spiders and other things that we set up, and her. The fog will pretty much complete the effect of kind of having something rolling across the ground to give you the kind of obscure the hallway a little bit and intensify the overall creepiness of the scene. So I'm going to go ahead and cut right now, and once we pretty much get the fog machine in the right place and can roll out some fog, I'll do some more shooting from opening the front door and looking inside so that you can see the finished effect of everything that we've pretty much been working on here for like the last 2 to 3 days roughly. Here we are in the front of my house. What you're looking at here is pretty much an inflatable Slimer. We're going to go ahead and show you the effect of going inside the house, but I just wanted to show off the inflatables that we have because this is pretty much like one of our main indicators to the kids that we're doing trick-or-treating, and we didn't just, dress up our house to dress up our house for the holidays. So as you pan along here, you'll notice that we have another spotter on the front and a Stay Puft Marshmallow stand up, which I think the kids have been having some fun flipping over for shits and giggles. I keep finding him over the railing. So as we walk up towards the house, you get a little bit better view of them. Try to keep the camera as stable as I can. I'm not the most awesome of cameraman, but I'm doing my best here. So you can see we got a webbing behind. This one, which we call Bertha. The other one on the inside of the hallway we call Sheila. I think I had to call her out before. And you can kind of see Stay Puft back there. As you come up, you can get a better view of Stay Puft here. And how he's hooked up. He should be pretty visible the night of. And as we pan, you won't be able to see it very well, but there's like a home sweet home kind of sign here on the door. And as we open up, you get the house. So this is, in effect, our hallway the night of. So you can see all the work we've done before. You can see the Atmos. You can see a little bit of haze in the frame, which is causing my camera all sorts of hell as it tries and getting to focus as, fog kind of rolls across it. But kind of completes that obscured effect that we're looking for in the house. So let me know what you guys think. I thought it turned out really good this year. We're both pretty happy with it. I'm going to put this down and wait and see what you guys think in the comments below. And let me know if this is something you're kind of into. We usually do this just the once a year. We don't do as much for Christmas. It's more of a friends and family thing kind of coming over. But if there's call for that, we might do a little bit of something for that too. But we always go a little bit more overboard with this because this is more of a shock and awe the kids kind of holiday than anything else for us. Now we finished the whole walkthrough. You saw pretty much the front of the house, how we set everything up. You saw us kind of enter the house and you saw the effect. You also saw that the fog was kind of giving my camera a bit of hell, and the fact that I didn't want to turn any lights on made some of the footage a little bit on the grainy side. Not super thrilled with that, but it kind of is what it is. I didn't want to put any more lighting because I kind of want to keep the mood of the room, and unfortunately I can't get much more light in the current lens that I have. But I wanted to kind of get this out to you guys in a timely manner so that you guys can kind of see what we do around the holidays and how we kind of celebrate Halloween here in my house. And hopefully you guys pretty much enjoyed it and had a good time with it. Once again, I want to reiterate to have a happy and safe Halloween. Try not to get in too much trouble. But, no jail or accidents or anything like that, because we would like to see you come back and visit us again. Thank you so much for watching. We had a great time showing you everything, and have a wonderful holiday.